Hello and welcome to Technocare Industries SAP Geek. This is Anurag and today we are going to see configuration of standard payslip. Although many customers are moving to customer specific payslips and pay statements, many of them want to explore what options are available in standard. So today we are going to see what all configuration is involved if we want to set up a standard payslip in system. So the transaction used for configuring payslip are PE51 and PE51 check tab. So PE51 check tab is only used for adding any additional tables which are currently not present in the payslip configuration. Okay, so we'll be seeing these transactions in detail in the upcoming part of this video, and we'll be looking at these steps of the configuration. So we'll be seeing background, how to edit single fields, add and remove single fields, how to maintain windows, what are line layouts, what are cumulation IDs and text modules. So let us jump into system and see what exactly configuration is needed to set up standard payslip. So we are at the transaction PE51. When we want to set up standard payslip, it is highly recommended that you do not make changes in the standard form which is already available. So what we do is, as soon as we first time execute this transaction, we select the form that we need to modify as per our requirement. Let's say I select IN01, and then what we do is we hit copy create button, and then we give the target form name. Okay, so I follow the general practice of naming the form as ZPay, or you can use any other form name starting with Z or Y. Okay, so Z or Y is not hard and fast, but this is some convention that I normally follow for creating the customer specific form changes. Okay, so once we hit copy, we will be able to have our own layout ZPay where we will make changes. The only purpose of making a new form instead of making changes in the earlier one is we always have a reference. If we want to check what was the configuration earlier, we will always be able to come into IN01 and check what is the reference configuration. Okay, so now that we have, let's say, copied our form, ZPay is available in system. Okay, now the most important configuration of any standard payslip is starting from background till the text modules. Okay, we'll be seeing each and every window one by one, what all configuration can be done in each of the window, so that so as to modify the standard payslip layout in the format we want. Okay, so let us hit the first, which is background. Background is the layout of the form itself, like for example how many sections it will have, right? So let's say this is my header. In my header there will be 1, 2, 3 different sections. So the lines that are displayed, right, the boxes, the sections, vertical sections, horizontal dividers, all these things are a part of background. And also you will notice there are certain hard-coded text elements over here. So these are something, this is, you can consider this as your you can find it analogous to your pre-printed stationery. Okay, so let us say that this is nothing but the layout of my pre-printed stationery, and whenever I will run payroll, whenever payroll results will be available, the different values will populate in the empty fields where we want on this pre-printed stationery. So this is like a layout that we create in the system, so how the form will look like. Okay, so here I can see in the header there are 3 sections, and there is some hard-coded text over here, and below this text there would be some values which will be a part of upcoming screens, not in background. So here we are just seeing the background. So in case we have to add any more sections, let's say at the bottom of the page, let me just hit page down for you. So here this is the end of my payslip, right? If you want to add another section over here, I will just come here and I will make changes. I will put these lines over here, so that another section will appear as and how I need it in my layout. Okay, so this is very straightforward and user friendly simple window where we we create different sections in our payslip. Okay, so let me move on to the next window. Next window is our single fields. Okay, so earlier we saw that we prepared the major sections in the payslip. What would be the different sections that would be available in my layout of the payslip? Now what we will configure is the single fields that we want to display. Let's say for example in this section I want to display 1 2 3 fields. Okay, so what would those 3 fields would be? So that we will configure in the single fields. So let's say name, so this is employee name, then employee ID, this is partner, and pay period. Pay period would be, let's say, start of the pay period and the end of the pay period. Similarly in the next section, so if we move on here, we know that this is the next section. In the next section I want to have, let's say, personal area, location, payroll area. Similarly in the third section, let's say I want to have company code, employee group, employee subgroup. Okay, so this is how we insert single fields into the payslip layout. Okay, so the method of inserting new single field is very simple. We click on the position where we want to insert, we hit create button. Okay, when we hit create button a window will appear like this. Okay, here we just have to specify the position. So position is nothing but this is your row number and this is your column. Okay, so row number 2, that is first one is this line, second one is this, so this is the second line on the form, so the position is 2, and 15 is the column number. Column means this is first character, second character, third character, and onwards. So on the 15th character length it will be displayed. What will be displayed? Again we have these 3 options over here. You can see we can either display a constant or a text module or a table field. Because this field employee name is not something that we can hard code or not a constant value, it has to be employee specific, it has to be dynamic, so it has to be pulled from a table. So the table, we need to specify the table from which table that field should come, right? So all the standard available tables which are present will come over here. We select the table and we then select the field which has to be displayed. Okay, so once you do that, we can also set the output length. Output length is not something that we can restrict, even though let's say employee name has 35 or 40 characters for example, but we want to say only display the first 25 characters or something like that. So we can give here output length 25 so that only that portion is displayed and the rest is not displayed. Okay, similarly if I, let's say, I'll close this and I'll see what is this name. I'll double click on this, it will show me, okay, this is position is 2 2, right? 2 means second row and second column. So because this starts from the second character itself and it is a text module, right? Text module is 0 1. Okay, so what is this text module? Text module is something that can be used based on a something like a fixed string that we need to display. So let's say for arranging these 3 fields properly, we have set this name, employee ID, and pay period with a particular string. Okay, so where to configure this? In the text module section, if we go ahead, we have this something called as line layout. After line layout we have this text modules, right? So 01 is name, 02 is employee ID, 03 is pay period, something like that. Okay, so you can see here I have used in window to go to single fields. So here we have used 01 which is name. Similarly if I use 02 over here, we will have employee ID. Okay, so this is nothing but fixed string that has to be if any fixed string has to be displayed on the form, that will come, that we can use based on the text module. So there are two ways for displaying fixed strings on form. We can either configure or hard code directly in the form layout, okay, and something that we can also do is we can also bring it based on the text modules, okay. Typically we use this text modules if we want to display it in multiple locations. So instead of hard coding in multiple times, we just come over here and we just select the text module that we want to be displayed over here, okay, and then we will transfer. So this is how we bring the individual fields. You can see these fields will be available in standard. So one additional field that I have added here is this PAN card, okay. This PAN card is not available in standard. So what I have done is, in the first of all, in the main form layout, I have added this PAN card, okay. This is a fixed hard-coded text, and in the single fields I have added this additional field. So if I go over here, I see P0185 and IC num. So again, now if you check in your standard system, you will not find this table P0185 and IC num in that, okay. So the reason is that by default this table is not available for configuration of Payslip. We need to add this table in the configuration so that it appears in this list, so that then you can select the field that you want to be displayed. For doing that, we have another transaction, that is PE51 underscore check tab, okay. When we hit this, it will ask you for the country grouping and the reference country grouping. We hit as 40 CEDT, 19 CEDT, and we will hit change, okay, or display. Here in tables, these are the list of the tables that are available for respective P51 configuration in the single fields tab. So I have added this manually in this table. When I added this table, I checked these three checkboxes, and I also added these fields in the third tab. I went to add this IC num field. This entry was not there in standard. I have added this entry in this field section, P0185 IC num, and I checked this box, okay. So once we do this, then the standard this table or these fields will become available for configuration in the single field section. So if I want to create anything else, let's say in this section I want to add a field, let's say same PAN card, I will hit create button, okay. In this table I will hit P0185 and I'll get let's say IC num, and it will accept, okay. So this is how you add a single field in this in HR form, also sorry, in the standard payslip. So you can see there are many single fields over here. This is PETRG. If I double click on this, it will show you it is nothing but it is the identifier IN02 of ZRT table with BETRG. Similarly, you have this net pay over here, take home pay. This is 560 tag to slash 560 table RT, okay. So this is how you configure single fields on the payslip. Now let us move on to the dynamic fields. Dynamic fields are those fields which are dependent on the payroll results. So everything basically is dependent on payroll results, but we don't want to configure each and every field. We just group them. Let's say for example this window over here, so this is all the earning wage type should be displayed over here. Similarly, all the deduction wage type should be displayed over here, okay. And there are so many windows. If we want to see how many windows are available in the current payslip layout, we can hit this button and we can see, okay, there are total 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 7 9, so 8 total windows are available. So these windows you will see like this: W1, W2, W3, and also if I hit page down, we can see W5, W6, W7, W9, all these things. So let us see how we will display this earnings. So all the earning wage type should be displayed over here, okay, and all the deduction wage type should be displayed over here. So if we hit on if we just double click on this earnings, we see this there are different groups. So again, if you want to have separate groups for wage types and the arrear wage types, so let's say all the normal wage type should come in the first sequence, and the or the arrear wage type should come in the next sequence. So we can create two groups over here inside the same window. So all the wage types under first group will be displayed first, and the second group will be displayed second. Here I have not mentioned different groups. I have just using the only one group. If I double click on that, I'll get the list of wage types. Okay, so there are two options here. We can either uh, write or configure each and every wage type that has to be displayed, okay, or we can simply mention the evaluation class value. Okay, so evaluation class 2 is used for payslip configuration. If specification of evaluation class 2 is 02, okay, which is payments in my case, then these wage types will be automatically displayed in the window 1. So the power or the advantage of using the evaluation class based display on payslip is, in case you create a new wage type, okay, you copy create from earnings, it will automatically have this specification, so that it will, so no further configuration will be required in the payslip separately. So this is the most important and what you say critical advantage of configuring payslips based on evaluation classes. Okay, so the list of wage types system will dynamically pull based on the specification of evaluation class 2. Similarly, now you can see that in window 1 I have configured two categories of payment wage types. One is normal payments and one is payment arrears. So I have classified those in the specifications of evaluation class 2. I have classified these two, this is as 02 as payments and 05 as arrears payments. Okay, and you can see this P type and C type will come to this in some time when we will see the deductions window. Okay, now this is how you configure it once you set it. Or again, there are two ways. If you don't want to use evaluation class 2, you can keep on adding all the list of wage types over here that has to be displayed, and then hit transfer so that it is saved in the window 1. Okay, now let us move on to window 2. Let's say this is deduction, right? So I'll hit deductions. So here again there is a group which is present. If I double click on group, I'll see all the wage types that are configured. Now you can see there are different categories present over here. Okay, so I have classified the deduction wage types as positive deductions and negative deductions. Why positive and negative deductions is, many of you must be knowing already, when we configure deductions in system, there are certain deductions which are system generated statutory deductions. They are positive in RT, they do not have a negative sign. Okay, and there are some deductions, customer specific deductions, like any other deductions which goes to cumulation /110, okay, so which is your statutory net deductions, like let's say membership fees. So these type of deductions will always have a negative sign in RT. So while displaying on payslip, what we typically do is we display the positive deductions as it is, and we display the negative deductions with reversed sign. Okay, so we reverse the sign of negative deductions and then we display on payslip. So for reversing the sign, basically we use this different P type and C type. Okay, so what is this P type, C type? I'll show you. Before I move on to that P type, C type, I just want to show here I have also clubbed positive deductions and positive deductions arrears with the same P type and C type. Okay, and negative deduction arrears again will have the same similar P type and C type. So now there are some conversion rules that are, I said you, like we need to reverse the sign of these negative deductions and then display in the deductions column. So how do we do that? Let us move on to line layout. Okay, for understanding that, we will go to line layout. this is the line layout. Okay, so it was 25, so let me hit page down, 25x. Okay, 25x was assigned to the negative deductions. So if I come to this BTRG, you will see over here that conversion rule is reverse the positive or negative sign. So if it is present as negative 100, it will be displayed as 100. If it is present as 100 in RT, it will be displayed as negative 100 in the window. Okay, very much straightforward. Okay, so now what we do, similarly 0 1x, right, which was present for positive deductions. Let me page up over here. We'll go to 0 1x. So we will come here, so and we will see that no, we have only used currency 40. We are not using the reverse sign conversion rule over here. That is the use of what you call line layout in the payslip. So this line layout will also define how much space will be between the wage type text and the wage type amount. Okay, so if we come here, we will see total 24 characters will be displayed for a particular wage type, and that will be wage type text will be pulled up from standard T512 table for LG long text, that is not short text, long text. Instead of long text, if we want to display short text for some wage types, we can change this and we can use the short text instead. Okay, so again, this is the use of line layout. Okay, so line layout are used in accordance with the window, right? So in a window, in a particular window, inside a particular group, when we assign list of wage types based on specification, I mean specification evaluation class 2, we use this line layouts P type and C type, so that we get the display the signs properly, and we also adjust the space. Like for example, from here to here we have, let's say, 30 to 35 characters. So first, let's say 24 characters will be dedicated for my text of the wage type, and then there would be a space, and after that space we will have, let's say, 10 more characters for displaying the amount. So this is how you play with line layouts and windows to dynamically include all the wage types in the window that you want to display in the payslip layout. Okay, now let us also see some uh, more windows. Let's say W3. In W3 is the example where I have not used uh, evaluation class 2, or I have simply hard-coded that the wage types that I want to display here. Okay, in this section. Similarly, we have these windows in the bottom, like so here we are seeing employer contributions, that is specification 07 of evaluation class 2, and this hard coded text. All these are perk values, different perk values. If there are any customer specific perks, we will also include these perks here. So the annual perk value wage type over here, and then we will hit transfer, so that all the perk values will be displayed over here. Similarly, in Windows 6 we will have, I think, income from other sources. Yes, /3 series wage type. So these are all income from other sources. Similarly, here we will have section 10 deductions. So we have standard section 10 deduction plus customer specific, all the section 10 deduction. Let's say here I have car and driver exemption, so I have also mentioned this annual exemption amount with the proper line layout. So you can see why different line layouts are used over here. Earlier we used 01 and now we are using 04, because simple, the answer is simple, is the width of the window. The available space in the window is less, right? W7, and let me page up for you. This is different. So you can see the width of window 2 is different as compared to the width of Windows 7. So that is the reason why we use different line layouts. So 04, you can see this is compared to 01, it is taking less space. 01x is this big, taking almost 4 3 4 5 40 characters, and here we are uh, sorry, not 40, I think 20 25 to 30 characters, and here we are taking only 15 to 20 characters. So that is the different use of line layout. We set up different line layouts for different sizes of our windows which are present in our payslip layout. We have seen till line layout. So now we have to see the cumulation IDs. Cumulation IDs are for displaying the total of deductions and total of earnings, okay, in the payslip. So again, let me go to single fields. If I go to single fields, we know that here we have total of earnings displayed and total of deductions. If we hit double click over here, you can see we have, instead of RT, we are using ZRT, and identifier is IN01. Okay, so IN01 is basically a you can say cumulation ID that is used to club all the earning wage types. So the sum of all these earnings has to be displayed over here, right? So what we do is, in the line layout, we use this BETRG as IN01, and this IN01, to this IN01 we have to tag all the earning wage types in the cumulation ID page. So in this window we come to IN01, this is the accumulation ID. If we double click on this, we'll get all the payments and arrear payments. And MS is plus. Plus meaning we have to add this these wage types, we need to add to the total. Similarly, these wage types also need to be added to the total. Now we will see cumulation ID for deduction. If we double click on this, we can see that all the positive deductions we are adding, even the arrear of positive deductions we are adding, and the negative deductions we are subtracting, because already there is a negative sign. When we try to sum up, negative will become positive, and ultimately those wage types will get total amount added and displayed as total deductions, even though the signs are different in the results table. And this again IN02, this IN02 is again used as a cumulation ID in the single display single fields window here. Okay, so using the single fields, we can display text modules, we can display constants, we can display different table fields, we can even display sum of different wage types. Okay, this is the use of that. We use cumulation IDs for displaying sum of different wage types in a in a particular field in payslip. So that, I think, was the last window that we had to see. After this we have this text. These are nothing but text modules that we have seen, which we call in single fields for displaying hard-coded text at multiple locations. So these were the very important configuration windows for standard payslip, starting from this background, right? Then next one is displaying single fields, then displaying window, then displaying line layouts, which are again used in windows, and cumulation IDs, which are used in single fields, and the text. Again, this text is also used in the single fields. Where in single fields? Here, text modules 01. So that is how you configure a standard payslip in SAP. The most important configuration for any, I mean, results for displaying results of payroll is payslip, because this is based on this the users will come to know how the net payment is calculated for that particular payroll period. Okay, and in case we have to add additional fields, I told you we need to have those tables added in the another transaction, which is P51 underscore check tab. Now for tables which are not even available in check tab table, we need to enhance the standard program. So we need to write some code for fetching those tables. Let's say for example we have a custom info type where we maintain designation, or a custom field where we maintain designation, and from there we want to display designation of an employee to the payslip. Then we will have to do enhancement in the CEDT program. Okay, and then we'll have to write that, we'll have to populate that in a customer specific table. That table has to be added in P51 check tab, and then only after following these steps, here in the single line uh, window we'll get that table in the drop down. Okay, so that was it for configuration of standard payslips in SAP.